All right, and welcome back to another tutorial. So in this tutorial, we are going to do the great song, Don't Stop Believin' by Journey. This is definitely going to be a bit more of a challenging piece, mostly because of the rhythm that's going on. There are several chords we're playing in the right hand, and the left hand is really where the rhythm is. So we will talk about it. If you are a beginner, I still encourage you to try it. It can never hurt to try. But don't be discouraged if you can't get it. It'll take time and some practice. So let's get into it. So first, I'll just play it for you so you hear what we're going to do, and then we'll talk about each hand and how we play it together. So here it is. Right, and then it continues to repeat there. So let's talk about it. So I played it with octaves in the left hand. Octaves are just when you play the same exact note. So for example, E and E, F sharp and F sharp, G sharp, G sharp, B. But when I explain it, I am just going to do it with one hand just so you can see it. It still sounds good without doing octaves. Right, just not as full. So we'll talk about the left hand first. So what the left hand is doing is this little melody starting on E, and then F sharp, G sharp, B. So it's like that. Finger-wise, I like to kind of be in like an E major position here. So pinky on E, ring finger will take F sharp, middle finger G sharp, thumb B. With our right hand at that same time, it's going to be doing an E major chord in an inversion and this little way going, which is I'm doing my index finger on B, pinky on E, thumb on G sharp. So the way you're playing it though is you're doing B and E together and then G sharp by itself. And then you just kind of do that, I think it's 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. So all together it's, right? Is how it's gonna go. When you get to that B, you're gonna switch chords. So your right hand, the right hand's doing the same pattern, but it's just kind of changing notes. So when we hit that B in our left hand, we switch to D sharp, F sharp, and B. And the way you're playing it is similar to how you play the other one, which is that you do the 2 top notes together and then the single note by itself 4 times, like that. So it's right. And the trickiest part about this song is how the left hand is not coming right in with the right hand. It starts on it, and I'm going to go slow here so you can kind of hear it. But when you hit that B, it's kind of anticipating the beat, like, right? It comes a little early. Now you can wait. It's just not going to sound like the real version if you did. Right? So we want that anticipation if you can get it. So after we do that, and we land on the B, the left hand is going to do C sharp, D sharp, C sharp. And when you land on that C sharp, you're going to go back to the first chord we did in the right hand, the B and the E together, and then the G sharp on the offbeat. Like that. So it's... Now, it's the same rhythm throughout in the left hand and right hand, right? The right hand is basically just doing 8th notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and the left hand is always doing that little anticipation thing. Right, so after we do that, the last little bit you add is the left hand melody will go D sharp, E, A. And when you land on A, your right hand's gonna switch chords to C sharp and E together, and then A on the offbeat. And then you finish it by doing D sharp, E again, and then it starts over. Now it doesn't do an exact repeat, I will explain it, but let's just play through that part a couple times so we can learn it, right? So. That's how it goes. I'm going to go nice and slow here so we can really see what's going on. And then once again, now kind of sped up. Add in the octaves, it really starts to sound like the song. Now, before we get into the second half of it, the second half, just so you know, is very, very similar to the first half. There's actually just one different chord. So if you can do that first half of the song, if you can do what we just did there, obviously not at this second, obviously you'll need to take some time to practice it, but if you can do that part, you'll be able to do the second part and you'll have the main part of the song down. So what I would recommend though is while you're practicing this first part is go slow, get the feel of it down. Right, get that feeling of it down with the anticipation. I'm going to show you that anticipation a little more in depth by turning on the metronome. I'm going to go a little slower on the metronome, around a speed of 80, let's say, just so you can really hear how this left hand, right, is coming in early. Right, you hear it's before B1. And then the right hand is really steady, just doing eighth notes like this. Together, so you can work both hands separately. You may find that helps a little bit, but what I always say is just because you can do one hand by itself perfectly, even if you do the left hand perfectly by itself, right hand perfectly by itself, there is still a skill. It still does take a different skill to be able to do it together. That is the challenge in a lot of playing piano, is can you do both hands together? So go slow and just work at that until you can get it comfortable. All right, so that's the first half. So now let's look at the second half, right? So I'm going to play through the first half one more time and then we'll look at the second half. Basically starts over. So it starts off the same. The first half is going to start off the same like this. And it's going to almost do the same exact thing. It's just going to be a slight difference. So instead of going C sharp, D, C sharp, you're going to do C sharp, D sharp, G sharp. And then with that, you're going to do the chord of B and D sharp and G as the off note. And then you go back to A to finish it. So let's take a look at that all. So that first half and the second half are almost identical. The only thing that's changing is basically that third chord, that third part. Chord 1 is the same. Chord 2 is the same. It's chord 3 that is different there. But then everything else is the same. So here is both parts together at a nice slow speed. Let me run that back one more time. with octaves at full speed. So that is the idea of the song. So like I said, if you're finding yourself, if you can get it right away, great. Glad I was able to help. If you are struggling with it, don't worry. It is a challenging song rhythmically. Like I said, that the idea that the left hand is kind of anticipating. A lot of the times we're not used to our left hand being the melody. We're used to our right hand being the melody. So it may be a challenge to you. That's okay. Take it slow. Because if you can play it like this, you'll be able to speed it up. I don't need to play it again. You've heard it plenty of times. All right. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to comment below. If you have requests for other songs you'd like, please let me know. Be sure to like, subscribe. Thank you so much for supporting, and I hope to see you again soon.